Hello, and welcome to Must Talk About Nothing, a show where I finally have a webcam. As
And I
always,
don't.
yeah,
I just have my built-in MacBook webcam. Hopefully, upgrade coming soon because
I mean, the quality of the camera doesn't fix the quality of the face. Am I right? Uh,
it doesn't help
I,
you either.
at least you can see me. Um, anyway, as always, I'm your host, Grant Ingram. And if you want to find us, you can do that a myriad of places, such as Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. Our email is musttalkaboutnothing@gmail.com. Everything you need to know is all in the description. Check out our YouTube channel if you're not listening on Spotify. You can see our beautiful mugs and the batarangs sitting over Grant's shoulder. Anyway, joining me today
And you
to
can see it
talk.
right here is my fantasy football trophy from 3 years ago where I won. Then they
So we
spelled my
know
name wrong.
which one.
They spelled Skillen wrong.
Okay, I was gonna say like can't misspell Grant. Um,
I've gotten Brant before.
I've gotten Graham. Lawson's dad calls me or called me Graham one time. It's like I know you. Like, come on. Anyway, so today we're talking about football. But before we jump into that, let me tell you about Manscaped.
Support for this episode is brought to you by Manscaped.
Manscaped is the best in men's below the waist grooming. Their products are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's performance package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code much talk at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, they've already shaved 12 million balls. So the performance package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer. They were absolutely gracious enough to send it to us. I love it to death. So inside that package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, the Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies. Not those goodies, the other goodies. First off, the Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever. Not that I have experience trimming balls, but you know what I mean. Their fourth generation trimmer features a cutting edge, get the joke, ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, also known as cuts. And it also has a 4000K LED spotlight so you can see what you're shaving. Grant, I believe you have a little bit of experience with it above the waist. How does that
Yes.
work?
Worked very well. Shaved my beard up nice.
And then now he's grown it back out. Um, but my favorite thing about it is it has like different little clips that come with it, guards, such that you can like,
Hmm.
yeah. So like if you use it for the face, it's doable. If you use it for the other area, it's also doable. It's fantastic. Manscaped is just fantastic, and I believe we both are in love with the underwear. Like those things are comfortable. Like, I mean, most comfortable underwear I've ever owned. And then if you would use promo code much talk at manscaped.com, I might get some free underwear and you will get 20% off. Again, that's code much talk, and that gets you 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tool for the job with Manscaped. So, week one,
Crazy weekend.
it was weird. A lot of places need a new kicker, apparently. Um, so if you're a
Yeah.
kicker, send us an email at muchtalkaboutnothing@gmail.com.
Maybe
I
don't send
will
us an email. Maybe send one to LSU or who was the other one? Was it North Carolina
ECU.
State?
No,
No, ECU.
ECU. Yeah, no, but send us the email. I'll review it for you, and then I'll tell you where you need to send it. And yeah. Anyway, so Grant, what was the craziest game in your mind?
I mean, I didn't watch the North Carolina Appalachian State game. If I did, it would probably be that one. But I did get to watch that into that LSU FSU game. I don't know what I was about to say, but that game, the ending of that especially was just crazy. Um,
Yeah.
Not what I expected to happen, but crazy.
What was crazy about it to me is that was the second game that ended like that this weekend. I mean, ECU wasn't a blocked kick, but for those of you who missed out on the fun,
I
um,
wasn't gonna. We
oh gosh. So here's the rundown. North Carolina State, number 12 at the time, I believe, maybe 13, something like that. Something they won't be this week.
The
East
rankings are
Carolina.
out.
Oh, are they really? We'll go over those in a minute.
They are 18. They were 13. Now they're 18.
Dang it, we're gonna go over that in a minute. We'll go over that in a minute. We'll go over all of them in a minute. But ECU, not ranked. It's a good game. ECU gets the ball with like 4 minutes, down 7. They they get a pick, run down. They go in, they drive in, they score. So now it's 21-20, like 3 minutes. They've got 2 timeouts. Kicker runs out there and absolutely shanks, and I mean shanks, the extra point. Misses it like 15 feet. It was bad.
It was very not good.
Oh no, everyone thought that's the end of Eastern Carolina. But no, they
Mm-mm.
kick it off. They stick NC State to a 3-and-out, and then they proceed to march back down the field, line up for a field goal, and the kicker shanked. I mean, shanked the field goal. So if you're a kicker, please send applications to Eastern Carolina. They need one. I also heard
Yes,
today apparently somebody stole his girlfriend during the game. Which I mean,
that's an L. And talking about L's, let's move to the LSU FSU game.
someone said he got kicked to the curb.
Okay, we're just gonna ignore that. So let's see. Florida State scores a touchdown with 9 minutes left in the game. LSU gets the ball, drives down the field in about 5 minutes, puts a touchdown in with 5 minutes left. Florida State, good old Florida State, up by a touchdown. All you have to do is keep the ball, drive down the field, get a field goal, get a touchdown, you win this game. Well, they drive down the field, they drive down to the LSU 1 yard line. And what do you do with the LSU 1 yard line? Do you pull a Seattle and throw the ball? No. Do you simply just hand the ball to your running back? No. Do you do a quarterback keeper? No. You run a pitch play, toss it to the running back who doesn't catch it properly, fumbles it. LSU recovers. So LSU has a minute and a half. I think it's a minute 25.
Oh,
That's
did you
what
wait a
y'all
second?
have,
I'd hate to cut you off, but you missed the best part of that drive.
which
It
is
started on the second muffed punt by Malik
yes.
Knowles of the day. He muffed
Wrong
two.
name. That's one of your guys.
Wait, what was his name then?
I
I,
don't remember, but Malik Knowles is on Kansas State.
I was 90% sure he was an LSU guy. Let me look.
I'm not seeing it. Yahoo is for whatever reason. Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors. My bad. The second muffed punt by Malik Neighbors on the day.
Yes, his second muff punt is what leads to that Florida State drive. They get to the one fumble. LSU gets the ball, has a minute and a half to go 99 yards. And of course, in LSU fashion, they go 99 yards. They have the little last second. What are they going to do with the time? They get the time for the last play, score a touchdown. Jaden Daniels looks like he's about to be a Bayou hero. Then out comes good old Damian Ramos, who I just found out is the name of the kicker for LSU, who managed to get his one extra point blocked and then get that extra point blocked, and LSU was the game.
I honestly don't think it was the fault of the kicker.
Mm-mm.
It
I
was
mean,
totally his right guard.
in theory, could you say, yeah, he should kick the ball higher? Yeah, whatever. But when a guy flies in like Superman, did you see
He
that?
was
Did you see
completely
that replay?
unblocked. He was unblocked.
He was unblocked, fully laid out, and got his hand on it.
It's almost as good as the K State block kick. The
I
guy
didn't see
just
that one.
okay. So our guy had essentially had bear hugged the punter's leg before the ball got there, and it just picks it up and runs. It's fantastic. Um,
Speaking of blowout games, we were a little bit wrong about Georgia. Um,
a little.
a
Um,
little. Um, they scored a touchdown on their first 7 drives.
Wait, didn't you have Oregon winning the Pac-12?
I did. I had them losing that game.
Did you have them losing that game by 46 points?
I did not have them losing that game that badly. I did have them losing the game though. So my mistake was thinking that Bo Nix could be something other than Bo Nix.
Hey, yeah, that was rough. I think, like
It,
we said,
yeah.
Bo Nix is really good against crappy teams.
hmm Against crappy
He's
teams, he looks like Kansas State. Against good teams, he also looks like Kansas State.
uh I just want to say Greg McElroy agrees that we could be national title contenders this year.
It's possible. It I think it's too early for a lot of teams, like just to make a prediction, but we all looked good. I didn't get to watch that game, but I mean, y'all
Well,
looked
I
good.
mean, the first play was a 75-yard touchdown, just saying, Emal. So the other games, the ones that sort of mattered. Clemson, Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Grant and I texted about this a little bit. We have different interpretations of the game because the first half we both agree, and I think everyone agrees was a close game. Second half, I don't think was close at all.
Okay, so my interpretation, when the game is 14-10 Clemson with less than 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, when they've had 2 quarters of full-on play against Georgia Tech. I mean, I've got friends that went to Georgia Tech. I was born in Atlanta. Have a soft spot for Georgia Tech, but they're not good at football. But you were only up 4 at the half against Georgia Tech. Again, they're not known for their offense either. So, what is a good team going to do to Clemson? Because if that offense stalls to the point where they can't put up more than 14 and a half on Georgia Tech's defense, and the other team has a decent offense, I think Clemson's playing from behind. I don't think it's 14-10. I think it might be 14-35.
That Clemson defense is very good. I mean, they only allowed the one touchdown, and that was coming right out of the second half, coming right out in the second half. Georgia Tech's first drive. That's a drive you script. They score a touchdown. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Other than that, I sent you a text with this, but after that touchdown drive, Georgia Tech got like 45, 46 yards the rest of the second half. In only one drive, they got a single first down and then they punted it. They couldn't get another first down. So they got shut down. And then DJ really started looking good in the second half. I mean, he wasn't perfect, but he had a couple great throws that got dropped, a couple first downs that stalled drives, and then that one throw in the end zone, which should have been a touchdown, but the same receiver dropped. He looked really good in the second half. I think if he keeps playing like that, they're not going to stall and only have 14 points at halftime. And then what was really interesting is kind of what we talked about. If DJ struggles, do they bring in it's Klubnik now? We know how to pronounce it. Do they bring in Cade Klubnik? I don't know if you watched his one drive, but he looked sharp. He looked good. I know it was at the end of the game, but he looked mobile. He looked accurate, had a smooth release. He had a better drive than I think DJ had all day.
Right. And I mean, if you're looking at that though, I mean, they were up what at that point? Like it was 30 something to
It
10.
would have it was 34-10.
Yeah. So I don't really think Georgia Tech was trying at that point. My point is simply that that is a game that should not be close past 5 minutes in. And for it to be that close in the third quarter is a little scary because most teams that Clemson's going to play are not as bad as Georgia Tech. They won't give you drive after drive of nothing, but
Against this
Again,
defense, a lot of teams are going to give you drive after drive with nothing.
I don't know. I would. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I just don't think it bodes well for Clemson.
Yeah. Another thing that I think needs to be mentioned is they lost both of their coordinators. So they have a brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator. They 1 week is not enough for them to get fully going, get fully on the same page. I
But
think
it's
once
two,
they start
three.
building rapport, I don't see an issue with this Clemson offense. If DJ struggles, you bring in Cade, and I think Cade's going to be good.
Okay. I mean,
I
maybe.
mean, both of the quarterbacks are going to struggle some. Cade would be a true freshman starting. DJ, we've seen his struggles already, but they said he lost like 30 pounds from what he was at one point. He looked good and mobile, had a couple good cuts, got past defenders. His arm looked good, good touch. Looked like he had a strong arm. I don't foresee them being like I think they easily drop 14 on nearly any team moving forward because DJ will have confidence. If he struggles, you bring in Kate.
Okay. I mean, maybe. I'm not sold yet. And by the way, they did lose both coordinators. I don't know where the OC went, but I know the defensive coordinator went to Oklahoma East. Um, I called Oklahoma East because Oklahoma West is in California now. Um,
I
with
forgot that Oklahoma got Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, UCF.
Yeah. But then
Probably the best lefty in college football.
probably. But I mean, I will see what they can do with that. I'm not sold on Oklahoma being a contender this year either. But USC looked pretty
USC,
good.
they look that
Well, I
we're on the
mean,
same page.
so
They
so
look
last
good.
year's Oklahoma team looked really good in California. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
seriously, I don't remember if we said this on the show. I'm pretty sure Oklahoma just literally took off their helmets, kept the jerseys and everything, went to California, put on new helmets, and just
Yeah.
decided to call themselves USC. It's the same team.
Yeah, which is very good for USC because another year of Caleb Williams. I don't know if Mario Williams did really anything. That's the receiver I forgot his name of in the last episode.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
don't know.
but I mean, they have some good weapons. They're only going to get better as the season goes on. Most important thing is Caleb Williams knows that offense. He was in it all last year. Same offense. He's a stud. He might be a Heisman finalist.
We'll see. We will
Speaking
see.
of another potential Heisman finalist, I know Grant didn't watch this game, but Florida, Utah. Anthony Richardson looked sharp, looked good. I sent Grant the video of that. I can't remember if it was a 2 point conversion or if it was just a goal line play where he faked the two defenders, spun, and kept going and threw the dot to the corner of the end zone. But Anthony
I don't remember
Richardson,
either.
Anthony Richardson looked good all game. He didn't have any passing touchdowns, but that's because he ran for three, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Um, their offense is definitely more of a rushing offense, but he looked good and looked sharp, strong arm, good decision making. That's going to be a scary team if he can stay healthy.
I 100% agree.
And to beat that Utah team who came in and did not look bad, Cam Rising had that interception at the end of the game in the end zone. Felt terrible for him on that. But man, did Florida look good. Anthony Richardson looked good, and that's the most important thing for him.
100% agreed. I think Florida will end up being a kind of a sleeper this year. I think
They
they'll win 10 games.
maybe I will say I know you didn't want me to spoil the rankings.
I
They
was
may
actually I was about to suggest we go ahead and jump into those rankings.
so Florida was unranked. They jumped up to 12
Well, yeah, because they beat
because
7.
yeah, they had to drop Utah back, and then you have to move Florida up ahead of Utah.
I would like to say that the polls agree with me on Clemson.
I mean, they dropped one because Michigan looked good. We can talk about that game a little bit. Michigan looked good. McNamara looked okay. I mean, he was 9 of 18 against who is this?
Nobody state.
I'm having to pull up the game. Colorado State.
Yeah,
I
nobody
think
state.
yeah. JJ McCarthy starting next week because they wanted Ole Miss is doing the same thing. Start both your quarterbacks back to back games, make a decision.
Right.
Right now, it almost seems like this is going to be JJ McCarthy's job to lose because Cade didn't. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but
He was
JJ
enough.
comes
He
in
was
and
good enough to jump Michigan up 4 spots.
their defense was good enough to jump them up 4 spots. I mean,
Yeah, that
granted,
was
he doesn't
surprising.
have to do much against Colorado State, but it's also
Um,
Colorado State, and he went 9 of 18.
right. I mean, you're also looking at it like Adrian Martinez for K State didn't do much, but he didn't have to either. Like,
Well,
I
but he
mean,
was he was efficient. He didn't throw for touchdowns because they were running, but he was very efficient. I pulled that game up because I knew you would mention it. I mean, he was
yeah,
11 of 15. He only threw for 53 yards, but like you said, when Deuce Vaughn runs for 126, Malik Knowles gets the 75-yard touchdown. DJ Giddens gets 57 yards. I don't know how many rushing yards Adrian had because Yahoo takes away rushing yards with sack yards, but he looked like he was pretty decent running the ball too.
yeah,
That was him not having to do much because you're facing South Dakota.
right. But I mean, South Dakota has been a decent like FCS contender. Um, like if I look at it, their last like they're not bad like at all.
No, they're not, but they're also FCS for a reason.
Well, because they don't have the money or the school size. It's more
Yeah.
school size than the money.
I'm pretty sure it's always them versus North Dakota State.
Right. So what we're looking at is one of the best teams in the FCS, which by the way, North Dakota State could come to the FBS and probably take out like half the teams.
Probably, yeah. I mean, they had Carson Wentz, they had Trey Lance. I think they have another guy who's pretty good now.
They definitely beat the crud out of Vanderbilt.
Dude, I could go get a team of kids in my neighborhood and go beat Vanderbilt.
You know what else a team of kids in your neighborhood could do?
But
They could injure the Raven.
okay, so for anyone who doesn't know this story, during the Baltimore Ravens last preseason game at halftime, they decided to bring out a kids football team and put them against a bunch of mascots. And so one funny thing that happened in the game, well, one funny, one not so funny, but also funny. Um, there's a video of the Braves mascot. It's just stiff arming a couple kids just straight into the ground with no regard for them at all.
It's gonna
Um,
you'll have to overlay that for our lovely listeners.
I'll see if I can. Um, and then the Ravens mascot got tackled by a kid and didn't get up. He had some type of knee injury, and they had to cart the Raven off the field. There's video of that or a picture. I'll at least put a picture here because I have a picture of that on my phone.
The
But
picture's
oh man, is
hilarious.
that funny? It's just him sitting on the back of the golf cart, and you can tell the Ravens' expression is just like,
He's got like that smile for the mascot. It's like hilarious. He's just like, dang gummit.
yeah, I'll post that in or put that in editing. But
Right.
I was gonna mention that in the last episode, so I know you intentionally brought that up.
I did. It just was like perfectly segued. But yeah, if we go down the rankings, Alabama doesn't move because Alabama's not going to move.
I mean,
Georgia,
Alabama did nothing to drop from one. Georgia did. I mean, Georgia, just with how dominant they were against Oregon, you definitely moved them up. Ohio State, that score's a little deceiving. That was a very good game for them. The
yeah,
me stealing from what the announcer said, their offense didn't look great. Jackson Smith and Jigba got hurt. I don't know how bad that injury is, but when you lose arguably the best receiver in the country against Notre Dame of all teams, you're going to have a tough game.
right. I mean, the Fighting Irish do fight.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Alabama at 1, which, like you said, they didn't do anything to lose that. They also didn't really do anything to earn that. So if they hadn't been at 1, they wouldn't be at 1. But whatever. You've
I
got
mean, Alabama did
Georgia
what Alabama does.
steamroll weak teams.
Yep.
You've got Georgia at 2, they're up from 3. You've got Ohio State at 3, they're down from 2. I don't
Mm-hmm.
really understand why. I think Ohio State played a better team, but I also understand why Oregon would need to move up, or not Oregon. I mean, Georgia would need to move up because they beat the dog
Yeah. Ohio
out of
State played a
Oregon.
better team. Georgia played better than Ohio State did.
Yeah.
But it
Then
was
we've
also
got
against the
Michigan
worst
at
team. So,
we've got Michigan at 4, they're up 4 spots. We have
mm-hmm.
Clemson at 5, they're down 1. We've got A&M sitting exactly at 6 for Lord knows why.
I
We've
mean,
got
they won 31-0. They had a couple big plays. Quarterback threw a couple interceptions.
right, but why were
That
they even there to
works.
begin with? They lost like 5 games last year.
That was my argument. That was my argument in the last episode.
Yeah,
Um,
oil
but
money, baby.
I think A&M probably stays there until I don't know who the next tough opponent they face is, but whenever that is,
Then they'll
well,
fall off the planet. Um,
let's see. Their next difficult. They've got Miami, so they've got Appalachian State. Looked pretty good against North Carolina in that fourth quarter, but they've got Miami and then Arkansas, then Mississippi State and Alabama. So we're going to find out very quickly if that Aggies team is truly number 6 in the country.
what can oil money buy you, baby? Um, then we've got Oklahoma at 7. Oklahoma, I don't think has a real test coming up until they play Nebraska. Nebraska will lose that game at the last second. Then they play K. They
Nebraska
play
needs to
K
lose
State.
their coach first, but
I don't think it's Scott Frost's fault. I don't think he's doing anything to help it, but somehow I think Nebraska is just cursed by the corn or something. I don't know. But then they play K State after Nebraska. They play Kent State. I think they'll beat Kent State.
I hope
I
they
hope.
beat Kent State.
And then they play Nebraska, and Nebraska will find a way to lose it. Then they'll play Kansas State. Kansas State's been on a roll. I think we'll beat Oklahoma. I hope we beat Oklahoma. And
Number 8, we've
then
got Notre Dame. I still think that's a good team. They didn't show much offense in that game.
yeah,
Their defense is good. I mean, even though Ohio State lost in Jigba, they still held Ohio State to 21 points. That's an offense that should be scoring at least 40 every game, regardless of who they're facing.
right.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. Hopefully, thank God. Just because you can't lose to Ohio State. Your offense doesn't look that good. I don't think unless something magical happens.
I
But I
mean,
mean,
it's
if we
also
look
week
at
one. The best time to lose is the earliest you can.
unless you're Notre Dame, because if you're Notre Dame, that was the one game you had to win, except for the fact that they are going to end up playing BYU and they are going to end up playing Clemson later on. But other than that, they're not playing anybody. Well, I guess they play USC to end the year. Okay, so they got 3 real games.
Mhm.
It's just not
And
awful.
and
It,
if you're Notre Dame, if you want to make it in, you have to win all 3 of those games.
right. You
And
have to
if
win
your
all 3 of
offense
those.
plays like this, you're not winning those.
Right. You have to win all 3 of those, and then you can't lose anything else.
Mhm.
I don't see it. But coming in at number 9, we have Baylor. Baylor is kind of like Oklahoma. I don't really know how I feel about them, but we'll know this next week because they play BYU. BYU, by the way, looked fantastic. Um, it just went in and took care of business. But they play BYU, Texas State, then Iowa State, and then Oklahoma State. That Oklahoma State game will be the one that determines whether or not they can pull off the Big 12.
Mhm. Number 10, we got USC. That team keeps looking good. They're going to move higher up in that rankings, have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs, really.
So we have 2 Oklahoma teams within the top 10. We have USC and we have Oklahoma. We'll see
And
who
then
ends up.
we have 3 in the top 11 because Oklahoma State.
Right. Oklahoma State's at 11. They moved up 1. I mean, they look good enough.
Their
They play Arizona.
defense, though, what, 44 points by Central Michigan? Is that who
Yeah, but
CMU is?
okay. Yeah, but Central Michigan came in late. Like their
Yeah,
defense looked fine. Like it was over by the third quarter easy. It just they kind of it
well,
was
that's what North
deceptive.
Carolina thought too.
We'll talk about that in a second. We've
Number
got the
12, Florida coming in from unranked to number
all
12.
the way up.
I mean, when you beat Utah, that Utah team looked good
That Utah
up
team won
until
the
that.
Pac-12 last year.
hmm And the Utah team looked good too. They came down to Gainesville. That's a tough thing to do. Come across the country, come
Yeah,
into the swamp, humidity. I lived in Florida pretty much for the past 6 years up until a couple months ago. It's hot. Um,
it's not the heat though.
it's the
It's the
humidity.
humidity.
Yeah. Utah 13 makes sense. They looked really good. Florida just beat them. Very close game. They both deserve those rankings.
Yeah, and you can't put Florida behind Utah. But coming in at 14, we have Michigan State, who didn't look awful, but also wasn't really the best. Like you definitely could have won that game better. It
Mhm.
was 13-35, and I mean, it was a it was out of reach, but it wasn't that out of reach. It was sort of a Clemson situation. 3 points in the first quarter for Western Michigan. They were down 21-3, and then all of a sudden it's 21-13, and then in the fourth they kind of put it away. It looks a lot bigger of a victory margin than it actually was, but we'll see.
Coming in at number 15, we got Miami, who just beat up on your local nursing home. I mean, Bethune-Cook.
Which is, I mean, it could be worse. It could be Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah, and forgot to mention in the last episode, Miami brought in Mario Cristobal. That I think that gives them a better shot. And I mentioned this to Grant. I'm honestly, we had the different views on the Clemson game. I'm debating, do I think Clemson beats them now? Because I had Miami Clemson in the ACC championship. Right? Am I wrong about that?
You're right. You're right. So you had Miami Clemson, and so what you're saying is because Miami beat up the nursing home, you think they have a better chance now?
Well, because I think the Clemson defense looked good. I think their offense, it'll need probably another week or two, but I think their offense will keep looking better and better. I think that'll be closer than it seems like now. But Miami looked great. Coming in number 16, we have Arkansas. Arkansas looked pretty good against Cincinnati. That was a good competitive game. I don't know if you were able to watch that one or
I
not,
did watch
but
that one. And that was a good competitive game. It actually gave me some faith in Cincinnati, weirdly enough. But I mean, Arkansas might actually be fielding a football team this year, guys.
Arkansas looked good up until the Georgia game last year, and you can say that about a lot of teams, though. But
everybody looked good until they played Georgia last year.
We looked good until we faced them the second time.
Right. Yep.
Coming in at number 17, we've got Pittsburgh. Pretty close game against West Virginia. They've got their challenge coming up next weekend. We'll really see how good they are against spoiler number 24 now ranked Tennessee. Honestly, I think that 24 ranking may be a little low for them, but if they come out and beat Pitt next week, this coming weekend, then they'll
shoot up to 14. Yeah.
They'll shoot up to probably top 15.
Yeah. So then at 18, we have North Carolina State, who dropped 5 because, kickers.
They won, but barely.
It was ugly.
Coming in at number 19, we got Wisconsin. Or if you want to continue about North Carolina State.
I'm good. I was just going to say, as my buddy Ian said, that was a no-win game. No one looked good. But yes, you have Wisconsin. And Wisconsin
surprisingly dropped a rank after 38-0ing. I think that's Illinois State.
Yeah, but you 38-0'd Illinois State. You have to make room for Florida. So yeah, it makes sense.
Coming in at number 20, we got Florida's upcoming opponent, Kentucky. I didn't get to watch that game, but score-wise, looks like they had a pretty decent win. Definitely a test. Florida's going to be a good team to test against this year. Because Anthony Richardson looked good. We'll see how Kentucky's doing.
Coming in at number 21, it is the BYU Cougars, who looked really stinking good this past week. Rolled into USF and beat the dog out of them. Beat them 50-21. Looked really solid. I'm interested to see if the Roaring Mormons can pull it off this year. I believe we will know literally this next week.
I was going to make a Mormon joke, but you beat me to it. But yeah, they, like you were just saying, they've got their test coming up against Baylor. We'll find out how good Baylor is, and we'll find out how good BYU is.
Right. Personally, I'm pulling BYU because I really don't want Baylor to be that good. Then at
22, we've got Ole Miss, the other team like Michigan, who's got a quarterback carousel going. Jackson Dart started. I think he was pretty efficient. I don't think anything was super eye popping. I think it's Luke Altmaier is his name coming in next week.
I think that's right, but they did not look good against Troy.
Yeah, I mean, only dropped 28 on Troy.
Let me rephrase this. They actually beat Troy. Through 3 quarters, it was 28-3. They beat Troy, but they didn't beat Troy.
Yeah, people may not like this person, but Alabama, we beat Utah State 55-0. It's more of a surprise if we beat them 55-0. That's what Alabama's supposed to do. It's more it's a big deal if we aren't destroying Utah State like that.
And Kansas State, we beat South Dakota 34-0.
Mhm.
which is not as high as 55-0, but it was just as much of a throttle.
Yeah, I mean it was what 27-0 in the second quarter.
Yeah, and we held them to like 7 straight 3-and-outs.
Yeah, like those. I would say both of those were dominant games, and if you're one of the better teams in the country, that's what you do against teams like them.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then something happens. We'll see what comes out of Ole Miss this next week.
Yeah,
Follow that
23.
though.
They got Wake Forest. Actually, there's some news on them. Their quarterback was out with a blood clot, but he's coming back this week.
He's coming back to beat up on Vanderbilt. um,
You could probably rest him a week and bring him back. Uh, if they have a
I
tougher matchup coming the week after.
let's see. They go from Virginia or from Vanderbilt to Liberty. I think they'll be fine.
You can
Um,
rest
then
him
they,
2 weeks.
then they play Clemson.
Actually, probably let him play against Liberty to get a warm up game. But
Coming in at 24, it is the Tennessee Volunteers, who me and Grant both picked to win the East.
mhm.
Well, Georgia don't suck, but we'll see. I
But
think
neither
Tennessee's.
like we were just talking about where you did dominate the teams. Tennessee dominated Ball State. That's what you should be doing against Ball State.
Yeah, we'll see
Um,
what
and,
happens with against Pittsburgh on
mhm.
in like 4 days.
Yep, that's their test. Yeah, that like you should be beating Ball State 55-10.
Yep, easy. And then falling one spot and coming in at number 25, it is the Houston Cougars. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Houston is an interesting one.
They almost
They
just lost to UTSA.
and by okay, so UTSA has had a good program these past couple of years. Like
Mm-hmm.
last year, they won a decent number of games. Um, I have to look and see exactly how many games, but a decent number. Um, let's see. Doobie doobie doo ba doobie doobie doo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They were an 11-win team last year,
They were
beating
ranked.
Illinois.
They were ranked for a good part of the year.
Yeah, they beat some real teams. Now like real kind of minor teams, but still real teams. So they've had a decent program. It's not awful to be close with UTSA anymore. But I will say Houston, ouch.
It this the score does them well. That was a very close game, and they did not look great for a good part of the game. I was watching. I don't know if you were watching the game, but
I wasn't. I was keeping up with it. That was ugly as sin.
I was texting you updates. Let me see. I can look through our text, but at one
I
point,
I will say I was right about the game in our ESPN pick'em.
I think I went with Houston.
I think we both went with Houston. Oh, Alabama Texas is one of the games for this next week. By the way,
Yeah, you can guess who I picked. Have you went through all? I went through.
I picked Alabama too. There's no way Texas wins that. Texas isn't going to be that good. I also picked Wake Forest over Vanderbilt. But if we look through this past week,
UTSA was up 21-7 at one point in Houston.
yeah,
Um, and then UTSA went 55 yards in 23 seconds, hit the field goal to take it to overtime. And then in overtime, they went a couple, I think they went to third overtime. And then Houston won on 2-point conversions. So very close, good game. Score
right,
definitely looks better than it should have.
for sure. Um, and if we look at like this past week, I just now that we're done with the top 25, I do want to recap our pick'em. Which, by
All
the way,
right.
we'll leave a link to our group if you want to join. It's just a much talk person.
We're going to go through
Um,
week one picks.
so I had Rutgers over Boston College, and
I no, I picked Boston College.
that yeah, they scared me.
I'll be honest.
22-21.
I'll be honest. I don't know if I've ever watched either of these two teams play a college football game.
I've seen
Um,
Rutgers play. Rutgers loses every game they play, but I still thought they had a better chance than Boston College. I
so
had
did
Arkansas.
63% of you people, 63% of people on ESPN.
So I also went with Arkansas over Cincinnati, and then I picked a lame duck. Um, a very lame duck.
Yeah,
Um,
I picked Georgia. If we keep it in the last episode, I said I didn't think Georgia was going to look as good. They looked very good. Um,
I still don't think they're going to look as good. I think that shows more about Oregon than it does about Georgia.
I would agree, but I mean their defense looked great, offense looked great too. But again, my question was, can they do it the first week? Yeah, you should be able to do it the first week, but can they do this week in, week out all season?
I don't even know. I had San
And
Diego
that's a
State
question that
over
will be
Arizona.
answered.
Yeah,
I
I guess
had
we'll
the
see.
same on this one.
Yeah, and we both got beat up. I had Houston over UTSA, and that one scared me. I
Yep,
had BYU over South Florida. I had the Utes over the Gators.
I did too, and I regret doing that now. I don't know why I picked them.
Okay, I wasn't expecting Florida to be good yet.
I was expecting them to be good. I wasn't expecting them to come out and beat a good Utah team.
Yeah. And then I had the Buckeyes over the Irish,
Hmm.
State over Memphis, and then I had
Hmm.
Boise State over Oregon State,
I did
which
too.
everybody had Boise State over Oregon State. Oregon State might be legit this year. We'll see.
Yeah. So then we
Um,
we tied our picks at 6 and 4 because I know no one was doing the math there and I wasn't either. I just know that's what it was. So
yep.
then it came down to the tiebreaker, which was how many total points will be scored in Notre Dame versus Ohio State. So, spoiler alert, Grant won this one. Neither of us were particularly close, but I thought this was going to be a higher scoring game. I put 59. I thought it'd be like 35-24 to Ohio State, was
Yeah,
my thinking.
I was thinking it was going to be a little higher too. I put 52. Um, as for this next week, we've got Alabama at Texas, we've got Wake Forest at Vanderbilt, we've
You
got
want to go over?
Tennessee.
I've put my picks in. Do you want to go over who you have?
I've got Alabama over Texas
I do too, as do 97% of people on ESPN.
because
Shout
let's be
out to those
honest,
3%.
let's just be honest. Texas isn't going to win. But it says a lot that 3% that Texas can garner 3% of the vote. Like just saying, it says a lot about how big
Yep.
their fan base is. Then I've got Wake Forest over Vanderbilt,
I
which
do
I think,
too. I have
yeah,
their quarterbacks coming back. They've said he's going to start this week, as well as it's Vanderbilt.
it's Vanderbilt. I've got Tennessee over Pittsburgh.
I do too. I think that'll be a good game. I think Tennessee, I mean, Pittsburgh's offense looked good. I think Tennessee's offense is better. I think their defense is better. I don't think Tennessee gives up, what was it, 34 to West Virginia?
Yeah, I just don't think so.
I
I
feel
think
like
it
our
was
picks,
31,
I
but
think our
yeah.
picks are going to be pretty similar again. Next matchup,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, Washington State. I'm almost tempted to be one of those one people, but I have Wisconsin making whichever conference they're in's finals. I don't know why I'm forgetting this. Big Ten.
Yeah,
Actually, I have them losing to another random team that could be Washington State. Who knows?
I don't know. And then I have Houston over Texas Tech, but I
I do
might flip
too.
that. I'm not
I
sure yet.
I had Texas Tech, but their starting quarterback got hurt, and he's going to be
Okay,
out for a few weeks. I had
I'll
them.
stick with Houston.
I had them before. Otherwise, I would have stuck with them if their quarterback was healthy. I didn't watch the game, but stats wise, it looked like he was doing very well before he got hurt.
Yeah, and then who'd you pick for Iowa State, Iowa?
Who did you pick?
I picked Iowa State.
Oh, come on. I picked them too. The Iowa
Uh,
offense looked like maybe the worst offense in the country last week. It was 7-3. Four of those points were safeties. So it was a field goal and two safeties against, hold on, who did they play? I need to look this up because it was not a team that you should be scoring 7 points and none of those being a touchdown against.
yeah,
It was, if Yahoo will load, it was South Dakota State, who, I mean, it looks like they're the number three team in the FCS.
but you still shouldn't be. I mean, we saw what Kansas State did. Kansas State put on a clinic against number two. You shouldn't be that far down.
No, if you,
Um,
yeah, it was awful. Hold on. They
it was
scored the field
bad.
goal in the first quarter. After the first quarter, let's see. They didn't have a drive. They had a third quarter drive go 50 yards. Other than that, I don't see a drive over 30 the rest of the game.
Oh gosh.
They
Then
had
I
one
have
drive over 30 yards.
gosh.
All right, Florida, Kentucky. I've got Florida.
I originally had Kentucky. I'm switching to Florida after this week. Um,
Florida looked
Stanford,
real good.
the trees versus the Trojans.
I've got the Trojans.
I have the Trojans. I have Oklahoma State over Arizona State.
I mean, this game is the same percentage as the Alabama Texas game.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be close. And then I have Baylor over BYU,
I do
but
too.
I
So
wouldn't be
I think we
surprised.
have do we have what one game that's different this week?
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what my points are for the tiebreaker
I
because
won't either. Here, let's do you want to give like an over under and see if we're similar?
what do you mean an over under
So like is yours more or less than 50?
more?
Mine's more too. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. And then we'll look at week 3 next week. Looking ahead to games though, I think we just kind of did, but like Kansas State's playing Missouri. Um, I have to mention Kansas State. They're my guys.
Alabama's playing Texas.
Yeah,
Quinn
I think
Ewers, I didn't get to watch that game. He threw a pick, but I mean he was 16 to 24, so he was 66% completion percentage, threw two touchdowns. Not bad.
yeah,
I didn't see the interception. I don't know if that was like an egregious one, like a couple of those Bo Nix ones, but
I
he didn't
I
look bad. But Alabama's defense is very underrated. I mean, I think we were top five last year. Um,
yeah.
I think
I
Texas
just
will have a lot more success than Utah State, but a lot more than zeros, not a lot.
so I don't think there are two options. Either Alabama absolutely blows out Texas, or Texas wins by 2 touchdowns.
I think it's more likely Alabama blows them out, but it's like 50 to like 21 or something. I think
Yeah,
Texas gets a few touchdowns. I don't think they get nearly enough to keep up with us.
I don't know, man. Quinn Ewers, I'm sorry, has the mullet going for him, so we'll see. Um, Bijan Robinson is doing all right. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. I don't have Texas winning, and I think if Texas loses, like I think Texas will lose, I think Kansas State wins the Big 12 easy. We'll see. Um, though
Let's
I'm the
see what
apparently the
other.
only one that thinks that.
I mean,
Um,
we've got Baylor, BYU. That it's going to be an interesting game. Both of those teams get tested against each other.
if BYU
Big
wins, I
chance
think
for BYU to
BYU has
jump
a
up.
good chance of running the gambit. Like
Interesting.
honestly, because if we look at BYU's record, like I will look at the Roaring Mormons record.
That should be
They're the
their new team
Cougars.
name.
They're the
While you're pulling
Cougars.
that up, that's a tough game. We've got Florida, Kentucky. That's a good game for both of them. Tennessee, Pittsburgh. We kind of covered these, but these are all good games to watch for teams who haven't been great recently and are
Yeah,
testing themselves against other teams like them.
right. So we've got Baylor that they're playing. Then they play Oregon, the now disgraced and defiled Oregon. Then we've got Wyoming, Utah State. We saw how that went for Alabama. Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a real team.
Yes.
Arkansas is a real team.
Arkansas. So I would say
And
in the SEC, Alabama, Georgia are 1 and 2. They're on the highest tier. Then you go down to tier for now, you've got Tennessee and I would say Arkansas are on the same tier of teams that can
where do you
be
put
good enough.
Florida?
Florida, is I would say give them another game, but if they beat Kentucky, they're definitely on that second tier. I wouldn't put them on the first tier yet, but I think second tier is definitely reasonable. They beat that good Utah team if they can beat Kentucky too, for sure.
Yeah, interesting. That we can see if East Carolina gets a kicker against BYU. But yeah, I think if they beat Baylor, they've got a good chance.
If they beat Baylor, you could argue they could jump up and be a top 10 team.
I mean, you could. I don't see that happening because there's so much going on in the top 10. I think there are too many teams to jump because I think if Florida beats Kentucky, they jump to top 10. I
I mean, if
think
you're looking at the schedules, it looks like really everyone 8 and up has a easy game except for potentially Alabama, depending on how that goes. You got Baylor, BYU. Yeah, probably top 15
I don't
more,
see
not top
Alabama
10.
losing to an unranked Texas. I just don't. I don't see Texas being that good.
I
Like
mean,
you
Texas is 28 technically votes wise. They're only like 20 votes behind Houston at 25.
Interesting. Where's Kansas State rank at that?
Kansas. State.
Because I'm not seeing that.
Kansas State got 18 votes. That would be like 34.
Okay, I'll take 34. We'll start with 34.
If y'all keep winning games, being consistent, beating the teams you should beat, y'all definitely got a chance to hop up at least top 25 in a week or two.
If we beat Missouri, I think we'll hop up 25 easy.
Although is beating Missouri really an accomplishment?
No, but it's an SEC team that can be legitimately tested. That win can be looked at and see
Like
if
when we get Texas into Oklahoma, Missouri needs to go. Who wants them here? Kick out Missouri, kick out Vandy,
Well, you guys just took Missouri.
kick them out.
Yeah, no, we're picking up all of the Power Six teams. So we're getting Cincinnati, we're getting UCF, we're getting all those to come in and fill those, which
Yeah.
means they'll get Big 12 money, meaning they might actually be pretty good. But yeah, that's what we got for the week. Grant, do you have anything else you want to kind of throw around?
Keep calm and roll tide.
Stay calm and emo. And until next time, which by the way, I'm gonna throw this out while we're recording. I'm gonna throw this out. What if we picked a game, preferably like the 9:15 game, so the BYU Baylor game. What if we picked a game and we live stream it? We like hop in a Twitch call and we're the announcers. Like seriously. I mean,
Alabama, Texas.
What time is that game?
I have literally not a clue.
Because if it's I might be busy.
Oh, that's 11 a.m.
I will be busy. But I mean, I don't know how exactly we would do it, but we could live stream like the audio or something.
Yeah,
We'll
I
figure
don't
it
think
out.
we could have the video.
Obviously, we couldn't do the video unless we did like that one guy with the USC fights. Did you see that clip?
Oh, it's like a reflection or something.
No, he was showing the pay-per-view like UFC fight, but he had a controller up there and he was acting like he was playing UFC 22. Beautiful. Anyway, yeah, that's just a thought. That's something we'll look into doing. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I just think it'd be fun. I think we could do a good commentary track. Um anyway, until next time, stay frosty, everybody.